Nah, 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 nah. Bro, I don't, why does it look like I got no hair today? Like my big head in the screen. I don't like this. For a whole day. It's so weird because it's not like a twist out, but it's not. Okay, I think we're good now. Glory to glory to glory to glory to glory to glory to God. Ho ho ho. I need to stop playing. Okay, I don't know how I feel. I feel like I should. I'm not feeling the half up, half down. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. This instead. Okay, better. I mean, you can kind of see the bump. This is what happens when you're having a really good day and you just start saying all these really crazy, foolish things. Let us try this again. Bruhim Habayim, welcome or welcome back if you are new. Did you miss me? Because I missed you. Okay, Naomi, you are still extra. You need to calm down, girl. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I certainly am. So let's just manifest that in the air. Push, 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 sending good vibes your way. So I know you guys are probably interested in seeing what is Nay possibly going to talk about today. I'm going to be getting really real with you guys when I talk to you about how, and mind you, this disclaimer, this is just how God like designed my life to be, but I did not end up needing 4 full years of college, and I will explain that all in this video. But this is a video for anyone who needs inspiration, anyone who needs motivation or encouragement. If you're feeling unsure if you should go to college, especially if you don't know what to do, if you're kind of stuck between I'm in college now but I don't really feel like it's right for me, but at the same time there's this stigma between college and success, which honestly in reality college and success do not go hand in hand, and I will explain to you why. But if you want to hear any of this stuff that I have to tell you guys today, plus a lot of insider information, then keep watching. And as per usual, I've split this video into sections for your guys' convenience, so make sure you check the description box below if you would like to fast forward to any topic that I bring up in this video. Alright, let's get started. So pretty much the title of this video is going to be why 2 years of college was enough for me, and I will tell you why. So this story time is not going to be long, but in order for you guys to really grasp the concept and why I'm saying this, I really do need to just like rewind a little bit to just explain to you how my life changed pretty much. So college, I mean, I almost said college year. Senior year, 2017, I was supposed to graduate in June, which I did. Thank the Lord. However, I still had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew for a fact that I wanted my major to be in the arts. Like, how could it not be in the arts? I loved painting, I loved drawing, I even loved performing arts, to be honest. I love musical arts. I love so many different types of arts. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do anything with my career on this career path, it's definitely going to be art. Something creative, something that doesn't restrict me, but it actually refines me the more that I work in it, pretty much. So I was looking and there was this one school in particular, the Moore College of Art and Design. It's in Philly and it's a private all-girls school. Now, before I even knew that it was private school, let alone an all-girls school, I just loved the minute that I saw it. The minute that I learned that each floor is a different art category. Are you serious? That's like my dream school. One floor is like pottery, the next floor is fashion designing, the next floor is drawing, the next floor is painting. Like that is an artist's dream come true. However, as you know, art school is already expensive. Plus it being a private school, that makes it even more expensive. Plus me being out of state, ton more expensive. So there were so many factors against me, but you know, I never let it get to me. You guys already know how I do. So I went and I did this very thorough application process, and I made, because I was going to major in interior design. In my mind, I'm like, well, I can always do my painting and my drawing on the side, but interior designing, that could be like my full-time job to really bring in the base of my income. So I'm like, why not? And this was before I knew the difference between interior designing and interior decorating. Interior decorating is what I wanted to do. I was applying for interior designing, and they only used a portion of interior designing throughout the whole entire course. So I had no idea yet about any of this, right? And so I made this whole entire building. It was supposed to be my dream studio. It was like sectioned in from, like, there was one door you can go in and actually buy stuff in like the clothing store. Then if you walk all the way to the back, there's this whole big space that's my actual studio, and then it connects to another door, or you can go from the outside into the other door next door, and that's where you can get custom fitted for any type of outfit. And that was like my dream store building, and I designed it all from scratch, the flooring and everything, and I spent so much time on it. I worked so hard on it, and I waited to see what would become of my future. And lo and behold, a big package came in the mail, and I knew it. Like, I had a feeling the minute I touched the package, I got in. And they don't have a very high acceptance rate. I'm not gonna make it sound like Harvard or Yale, but art schools are very, very picky, especially private schools. They don't just accept anybody, but they accepted me. They accepted me. I got accepted, and on top of that, I got a scholarship, and it was gonna cover 20 grand per year as long as my grades clearly stayed above, you know, a certain GPA and whatever, which has normally never been a problem for me. But when I did the math, even still, it wasn't enough. Like, it was almost over. It was probably an average of 40 grand a year, possibly even a little bit more if you added everything else, like not even counting food, not even counting all those other things that were not accounted for yet. So it was reaching out to be very expensive. And that's when I finally made my decision. Okay, Naomi, if you're gonna be honest with yourself, this probably isn't the best option, especially because I was not even working in high school. Me and my older sister particularly, when we were in school, it was more, we were always taught to be more focused in our schoolwork. So it was always wake up, go to school, come home, do schoolwork for the majority of the time, eat dinner, do chores, go to bed, and that would repeat. So there was literally no space in between for me to ever have a job. And so I didn't even hardly, like, I had money saved up, but it wasn't from having a job yet. It was like errands here, chores there. And when I used to work at my aunt's beauty shop, and she paid me then, so I had money from different places of my life saved up in that savings account, but it was nowhere near enough to cover 4 years of private art school. So I cut my losses, and I'm like, you know what, if it's meant to be, it'll be, but I'm not gonna stress it. And so then I'm like, you know what, I didn't want to do this, and it broke my heart, but I applied to my community college, and I did this against my will because I'm like, I'm not going to community college. Like, I'm an artist. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not doing that. And I ate my words, and I applied. Clearly I got accepted. And also because I am a local student, I got free tuition. So I got a scholarship because my GPA was over, or whatever. It was very high. So I got a free tuition scholarship, so I didn't have to pay tuition or anything like that. I just had to pay for, you know, my college expenses, like my art supplies or whatever it was that each professor needed us to buy. That's what I had to pay out of pocket. And since I'm already an artist, I was already spending money on that pretty much anyways, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I was already used to paying for some of that stuff anyways, so it was okay. So long story short, when I applied to the community college, the only art major was graphic design. And I had seen graphic design in my high school days. Like, whenever I'd go into my art room, I'd see the graphic design geeks at their computers, and in my head, that's just what I thought. I'm like, oh, it's just people fooling around in Photoshop, or they're doing this, and I'm like, it's not really my vibe, but this is the only art thing that is available to me, so I'm gonna have to just try it. And my view was so off. It was completely different than what I could have ever imagined. I mean, I made things from product labels, label designs to magazine covers to book covers, the t-shirt designs. Like, I did so much. Illustration was my favorite part. My absolute favorite part. Every single time we had a project to do, I would always incorporate something of my illustrations into that, because it just became a brand for me. It became who I was, and I was beginning to be known for that. Like, whenever I would be working, I would catch my professor literally standing behind me. He's like, don't worry about me, I'm just watching you. And he was just so like in awe of like what I was doing on the computer. He's like, I don't know how you do this. Like, and that was my professor watching me. And I will never forget that experience, because not only did it show me that I'm a creative person and that I'm actually very skilled, more than I ever really imagined, but then also I had professors who fed into our skills and our creativity to make us better. In high school, I didn't always feel that way. Not saying that I didn't feel supported at all, but in college, especially for me, from my experience, they really were like invested into every single one of us, or at least the people who applied themselves, which was me, and it was a lovely experience. So pretty much by the time I got to my second year of graphic design, I had so many things under my belt. I was so knowledgeable in Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator. We did a little bit of InDesign, but we didn't get to do too much in it. I really fed into this like calling that I had for illustration. It was pulling me in little by little. I had no idea about the possibilities that came with graphic design. So when it was about time for me to graduate, because again, community college is only 2 years, except for nursing, the nursing program. So if I'm like, honestly, and I'm gonna be honest, like if this community college did 4 years of graphic design, would I have stayed with the free tuition scholarship as well? You know what, probably, maybe. But because it didn't, it led me on the path that I took. So I graduated college with my associate's degree in graphic design, and by the time I was already in my second year of college, so pretty much a sophomore in college, I was already making money. People were coming up to me asking me, can you do me a portrait? Can you do me a family portrait of this? Can you draw me this? And I was paying. Of course, I was underpaying at the time because I had no idea how to price my artwork. However, I was still making money, and it wasn't costing me a dime but my time. And I mean, our time is very valuable, I get that, but it wasn't like I had to go out and buy paint and buy paper and then ship it off and do all the other stuff. I didn't have to pay a dime. Most of the things that I was doing, I would just send it to them digitally, and then they would do whatever they wanted with it. So all I needed was this gigantic Mac computer that I had 100% access to at my college. And because I was a work study my second year, I had the keys. So I was in there early every single morning working, and then I would stay in there longer, clearly because I had my classes and my courses, and then sometimes even after the fact I would still be in there. It was crazy how much I was in there. Crazy. And it really just developed me into a person that I just never ever imagined I would be. So I went from first thinking that I was going to be an interior designer, and that making art was gonna be my side hustle. But then lo and behold, making art ended up being not necessarily my main source of income, but my main way of making money for my business. It always goes back to commissions at the end of the day. No matter how many products I might sell, no matter how much slay clay I might sell, or body butter, or stickers, or whatever, commissions, it always seems like I always have some sort of commission to do, and that seems to be the ground and the base of my business. And I never want to ever forget that, because that's where I came from, and that's what started it in the first place for me. So that's why I'm saying I knew I wanted to have my own business. I knew that from the start, because I was working at Burger King, you guys. Burger King. Because where I live, you either work at a fast food restaurant or a grocery store until you get some kind of degree, or unless you have family in a business and you work there. Other than that, there are no job opportunities, or you work on a farm like over the summer or whatever, or garden. So I had to work at Burger King, but I was getting paid pretty well for a fast food worker in New York. So that was where I was saving up a lot of my money. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna use this job to fund the real dream job that I want to have. And I just kept working and working, and even though I hated it so much, it paid off, because then right after COVID hit, I'm like, what am I waiting for? Like, seriously, I survived the whole first year of COVID, and like, I should not be wasting time anymore. Like, that could have been me. I could have been gone. I could have gone to a place where I didn't have a chance to reach my goals anymore. My time ran out, but it didn't. And I'm like, you know what, that was what motivated me to start my business in 2021. So I filed it towards the end of 2020, but it didn't get processed until a few months later, in the next year, earlier in the next year. So that's when I ended up starting my LLC, and I don't regret it. Like, there are so many times when I've just had slow, dry moments, but it's like, I wouldn't prefer anything else, because it's showing me patience, it's showing me determination, it's showing me, am I gonna stick this out, or am I just gonna give up? And it's constantly always bringing back to me, you know what, you did this before any of this was ever possible, so don't ever forget it. So this is probably towards the end of my story time now, because you guys already know what I do. I make stickers, I make illustrations, I paint on real canvases, I draw real portraits, I do a lot of illustration on my iPad, I do a whole bunch of things. And it was all thanks to my 2 short years as a graphic design major at my community college. And so this is the end of the story time, but this is why I wanted to share with you guys, because I think some of us just have this mindset that, like, oh, I'm gonna graduate high school now, so I have to pick out a college, and I have to pick a career, and I have to stick with that career, and if I don't stick with that career, then everyone's gonna think that I know how to make my mind, and I'm gonna feel so confused, and I'm gonna do this and blah 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 blah. That's what college is for. It's for you to figure out who you are and what you need to do, what path you need to take for your life. And say, for example, if I took graphic design and it wasn't my cup of tea, I probably would have switched it. I don't think I would have stayed in the same major. I honestly do not think I would have stayed in that same major. And that's perfectly okay. If I dropped out of college because it wasn't for me and that was the only art course possible and it wasn't for me, I would have to have been honest with myself and be like, you know what, this is not working for me. We're gonna have to try something else. But I'm happy that it worked out the way that it did. Like, I truly am. And I will always rave about this story, because I literally thought, I really thought when I graduated high school, like, I'm going to graphic design. I don't even know what that is, but I'm going to major in graphic design, and that's that. Like, who do you know goes to college, picks a random major, well, not that random, but a random major that they have no idea what it's about just because, and it works out perfectly for them. Most people go with the intent of something that they think is interesting to them, and I'm saying that because sometimes many people switch, which that's okay. But for me, I had no idea what I wanted. Like, none of the other majors interested me at all. And I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be an art major, graphic design it is, and we're gonna work this thing out. We're gonna do it. And so I did it. And now I'm walking around with my tote bags, and I'm walking around with designer LNA Couture, because I know how to, I invested time into practicing how to sew better and to be better, just as a better creative, just all together. And none of it is a waste ever. The other day I was literally sitting in front of my laptop rereading one of the novels that I wrote, and I'm like, Naomi, like, where did you find the time? It was like almost 700 pages in Google Docs. Like, the thing just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I'm like, you know what, Naomi, you're gonna do so many good things. And then sometimes that's just what you have to tell yourself, because nobody else is gonna tell you that on their own. You have to know it for yourself and remember where you came from. I feel like that's the big part of this video. It's because for me, I knew deep down in my gut, art, it's gotta be art, it's gotta be creative, it's gotta be fun, it's gotta be flowy, and just like go with the flow and not too restrictive. I can't do restrictive. I can't do someone breathing down my neck telling me how to do this or how to do that or how to refill the ice machine. I don't want to know. I don't care. I want to be me. I want to express myself through my gifts and through my talents. I want my purpose in life, and I want to be able to make an impact. And you know that saying, let your impact become your income? I hope to God one day that it does. But until that time comes, I'm just gonna have to keep being positive and believe in myself, because I wouldn't say that I'm 100% there yet. Clearly, I'm not. But the life and the journey that I have been on this far creatively speaking and career life speaking has been a blessing, like beyond all that I could ever think. And I really never thought that it could happen for me. And I'm saying this because if you're watching this and in your mind you think that a lack of a degree is gonna create a lack of income for you or a lack of education for you, that's not the case. I'm telling you that right now. Because even still, like recently I've been slacking a lot since summer vacation because I'm just trying to focus on so many other things. But I just started a course for digital marketing and e-commerce because I'm like, I want to educate myself more, and I picked a major or course that would help me in my life, that's relevant to my life. And I have a business, so I'm like, you know what, my online store needs a lot of help, so why not? And you know, it's things like that. When you're in high school, they don't teach you half the stuff that you need for real life. And it's a shame that we have to find that in so many other places but school. And school is where we spent the majority of our lives. Every single day, Monday through Friday. And I'm not about to make this a vent session, but I'm just saying, those of you guys who are woke enough, whether you are still in school or whether you've graduated already and you're in college, or you graduated college, or whatever you're doing in life, I am proud of you. Just saying. If you know you're doing great things and you're working your butt off and you're educating yourself, I am proud of you. Because it takes a lot of discipline to say, hey, I want to learn about this, I need to learn about this, but I have to do it on my own some way, somehow, and you find out a way. So whether you're paying for an online course to do at your own pace on your laptop at home, or whether you're going to college like very, very part-time, just for like an hour or two certain days a week to get that course underway, to get it certified, to get yourself certified for something, that still is making progress. I'm so passionate about learning different languages, and that's why I always, well, now you guys probably have noticed, what is she saying? Why is she saying Bruhim Havaim? But that pretty much means welcome in Hebrew. And ever since I watched Selling Sunset, like the first episode, if you guys have ever watched that, Maya, the Israeli woman, she was probably one of my favorite people. She was so zen, she didn't give a care in the world. But the most beautiful thing that I saw about her in that show was her Hebrew. It was her accent for me, and then it was whenever she was talking on the phone, just the Hebrew just sounded so pretty. And I'm like, I know my English clearly. Spanish is iffy. Like when I'm very, very when I'm using it repetitively, like almost every day, then it comes like this to me. But sometimes I struggle a tad bit when I'm like, what's that word again? What's that word again? But it's in me somewhere. I just have to remember it. But I've had a ton of Hispanic friends, and I go to a Hispanic church, and tons of the close people that I'm around with now are Hispanic as well. So it's kind of hard for me not to understand the basics of Spanish. So I would say I do understand basic Spanish, but I would love to be a lot more fluent than how I am. So I have to work on that. And then my third language is Hebrew. And again, I was so consistent with it for so long. I could say phrase this, 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 and this. And now if you were to ask me right now to say something, I'd probably be like, because the less you practice, the easier it happens to make it, the easier it is to forget it. And that's why I said it takes discipline, because even in my mind now, I'm like, okay, Nate, when are you going to set the time to review your Hebrew, review your phrases, and things like that? Because what I think is beautiful, you might not think is beautiful. But that doesn't matter, because it's what we ourselves see, like how we see our lives. And if I want to walk around being fluent in Hebrew, even though I can barely speak it with anybody else, until I go visit Israel, then I will do that. It is perfectly fine. And then also, I recently started getting really passionate about sign language, because, and this is what I'm saying, this is why I made this video, because even though I accepted the fact when I graduated high school, I started working at Burger King, and then I was working there part-time while I was going to college to keep making some money. So even though I had made in my mind that, okay, Naomi, you're gonna allow this job to fund the real job that you want to have, it wasn't making me happy. Like, I was so miserable. Every time I drove into the parking lot, like, my whole demeanor changed, and I'm not exaggerating. Like, I became this very, not spiteful, but this very unhappy, dim, dark person. Like, my light completely, like, went away. And so that's when I made the decision to really try my best to find a different job. And then I applied to be a teacher's aide at an elementary school. And I'm like, you know what, God, this is your will, let it be done, because this isn't gonna help. This is not gonna happen if you don't help me. And then eventually I found out that I got the job. And I was so happy. I'm like, finally I get to leave. And then COVID happened, and then the school closed down. So I had to go back to a job that I literally was about to leave. And what that showed me there is patience. It showed me patience. And so I waited for the next school year. Clearly I was still employed. Like, I didn't just get fired, but they closed down for the rest of the year. So I'm like, you know what, I might as well make some extra money and work at the job that I still have before I quit. And so by the time the new fresh school year came, I fully quit my job and I started working there. I started only part-time, and then the next year, I guess they loved me so much that they decided to make me full-time. So I didn't even have to wait that long to be chosen as a full-time person. And it was a really shock to me because as I was working there, everybody was asking me, like, are you part-time or full-time? And at first I said part-time because I was. And they're like, yeah, it takes forever to get full-time positions. And then I got it the next year, and it was the craziest thing. It was the craziest thing ever. You know, I'm like, you know what? This is only an act of God. Honestly, at this point, only an act of God. So, specifically, last year was my first time they ever put me into, like, leading in and pushing in to some special ed classes. So I started getting familiar with kids who had certain disabilities, learning disabilities, speech disabilities, things like that. And then this past school year, they put me in another special ed class, this time more time in that class than last year, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And so now, not only is my passion about art and being creative, but it's also about being an advocate for special ed kids, because at this point in time, you have no idea what goes on in these schools. And y'all have seen me make that Black Excellence protest years ago when George Floyd recently was murdered. And it's not the fact that I wanted to do it because I wanted the attention or whatever. It was because when something drives me, when I have a passion for it, it's really hard to live with that passion driving me until I fulfill what I need to fulfill. And I kind of felt that way being put into this special ed class, because it's like, you would think that all these teachers accept all of these diverse different kids, but that's not always the case. And then not only that, but just me personally, it's just, these kids are amazing. And you guys already know how my personality is. Like, I'm a very salty, sassy person, and you would not believe some of these kids. Whether they have autism or ADHD, whatever it is that is going on with them, just like internally, they are some of the smartest kids I know. And if they work for NASA one day, I'm like, yo, I knew that kid. And it's a great pleasure to be able to work with kids like that. And so in the middle of my school year, I got taken out of my regular schedule to work one-on-one with this darling little girl. And she had a speech problem, so it was almost as if she was mute. She couldn't really process words the right way, so she could talk, but it would sound pretty muffled, so it wouldn't be specific. And so she used to use her own bit of sign language. And she knew some actual sign language as well, just a tad bit. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's make this a me and you thing. And we used to just look on her educational iPad, and I downloaded this sign language app. And me and her used to just look up word after word after word. And we would just learn sign language together. And I was getting paid for that, to learn sign language with her together. I mean, that wasn't just what I was getting paid for, but you get what I'm saying. And I became passionate about it. I didn't learn sign language just because I felt like I had to, or just because I wanted to look good. No, I learned sign language because, number one, I used to actually take sign language classes when I was in middle school, after school. But then again, the consistency stopped, and then I just forgot everything except for like the alphabet. But I'm like, you know what? This is a perfect time for us to practice together, because I actually have someone who can hold me accountable, and I can hold her accountable as well. So that's why I can do like the no and the yes, because that's how we would argue back and forth silently. I'd be like, and she'd be like, I'd be like, and it was the constant, that was like our thing back in the day. right? But then we started learning funny things like pig and cat and cow or milk or whatever, and it's just like thank you or no thank you and things like that. And it's like, it's a beautiful thing when you can communicate with people, and I think that's why I love different languages so much, and that's why I think it's important to be inclusive, because it taught me personally so much. And I know it might sound like I'm getting off track here, but it's not, because I'm telling you right now, if you leave college, or in fact if you don't go to college at all, if you just stay true to who you are and you just follow where you're being directed and kind of like pushed in the direction in which you should go, I promise you 10 out of 10 you're gonna be where you need to be in that present time. Even if it seems like it's a hard place sometimes, like how I felt like I would be stuck at BK forever, even if it's a hard time at that present moment, trust me, it's for a reason. I used to be so shy, so timid, so insecure. You put me behind that counter at Burger King, I was a changed person a month and two into it. Like it's crazy how certain situations or job occupations will change you, and like they will mold you and grow you into the person who you're meant to be. Go at your own pace. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. If you're working at a fast food restaurant, I'm going to use that as an example just because that's what I did when I was in college. But if you're working at a fast food restaurant straight out of high school and someone else is bragging about how they're in college, but then all those times that they're in college they're just gradually gaining more debt, while each year you're getting paid more and more and more, making your money, and then finally you get to a place where you get a better opportunity and things, they blossom for you, and that person who was bragging about their college education now is in debt and has no job. And I'm not trying to put any shade on anybody who is in college, but I said that personally because I have heard that from other people's experiences. And it is hard, because even when I graduated my 2 years, I'm like, well, what job can I get? And so I can only imagine for someone who has an actual full, at least bachelor's degree, the frustration of just, okay, well, I have this degree but there's no job opportunity for me, like what's going on? And that's why I'm saying, always go back to your passion. If it's not something that you love, you're gonna be unhappy, I feel like, for the rest of your life. Like, go with the flow. I remember my dad specifically asked me, he was like, what are you majoring in? I'm like, I think I'm just gonna do graphic design. He's like, what's that? And I'm like, I don't know, some kind of art major or whatever. He's like, what can you do with that? I'm like, I don't know. I literally said, I don't know. And he's like, you're going to a major and you don't know what you can do? I'm like, I don't know, I'll figure it out and I'll see. Lo and behold, graphic design is probably one of the most popular majors out there now, and you can do so much with graphic design, literally. Like the other day, I had to take a picture, a passport style picture for one of the badges that I needed, and there was something in the background, and so I'm like, you know what, let me put this into Procreate real quick and airbrush it out. This picture, oh, you guys can't see. I'm gonna show you right now what I mean. Look like there's anything in the background. There was like part of the window here, stickers on the wall. I just airbrushed it out and it looks so perfect. And I'm saying, like, if I didn't go to graphic design, I wouldn't have known how to do any of this stuff. Like, even with my thumbnails, when I'm editing my videos and I'm doing all these things, it's the graphic design and the illustrations that I learned how to do that allows me to do this. The art that you see in the background, I learned that through graphic design. And it's so crazy to think of how it opened so many doors for me, and it just opened up, just in general, my mindset, because I wouldn't necessarily say that I was single-minded or closed off, but it definitely broadened the way that I saw life. And everywhere I went, I'm like, oh, that's graphic design. That billboard is graphic design. That restaurant sign is graphic design. This menu is graphic designing. And just everywhere I went, that fashion, that's graphic design. And just the way that it happened for me, it was like beyond incredible. And I'm grateful for, again, like, I'm grateful for my journey. And it's hard still, like, trying to figure everything out, thinking like, is this for me? Is this what I'm supposed to do? And again, you're passionate about it, or you're doing something to feed that passion, I think you are in the right direction. Clearly, like, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, or any type of that stuff, clearly you have to go to college, and I commend you for that, because that's a lot of years, that's a lot of tests and things like that. So kudos to you, honestly. But if you are more of a free-flowing entrepreneur, you know, that type of person, get the experience that you need under your belt. It's always the experience. Sometimes people don't see, sometimes people see a degree and an experience and they think that the degree outweighs the experience, but half the time most people don't get hired when they get their degree because they don't have the experience. And that's what I learned. And when I even sometimes still, like when I just look at job applications and things like that, it'll say such and such degree, or and then how many years of experience that they prefer. And I notice that most of the time it's the experience that outweighs everything, because you're really learning the trade and that skill because you're in it. You're not just learning about it indirectly, but you're actually in it, and you're working in an environment that's going to mold you into a better career person in that course or in that career path for you. So that's what I'm saying. If you don't want to do college, do not stress it. Don't beat yourself up for it if you did drop out of college for a good reason, or if you're still on the fence of like what to do, if you don't want to do college or you do want to do college, whatever it is that however it is that you're feeling, don't beat yourself up for it. I promise you everything will work out in the end. I have to say that to myself because sometimes I'm waiting for something and it's like, I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I'm just gonna keep praying and just hope for the best. And that's honestly what we all have to do. But yes, if you are opting out and you're not gonna do college, you need to do these 3 things at least. The bare minimum of 3 things. And you need to write this down. I'll wait. Get your pen and get your pencil. I will wait. So the 3 things that you need to do is, number 1, educate yourself. Self-education sometimes is the better option. How many times have you heard that homeschool kids learn and they're more advanced than other kids in school? You can learn at your own pace. So sometimes that's faster, sometimes that's more involved than others. So if you are not going to college, at least find things that you're passionate about and self-educate yourself on those as well. Second thing is, get the experience. If you want to get into this certain job force area or whatever and you don't have a college degree, find some way to get in there to get your experience. Whether you're volunteering, whether you're interning, whether you're just observing, whether you're the front desk person but you're also listening to the meetings and you're watching the things that are going on so you can get your experience. Get your experience. You need that. Trust me, you need that. I would not have been able to start my business if I didn't have just those puny 2 years of graphic design experience under my belt. And then also of customer service, of actually working with clientele way back in college. It was all new for me, like working with clientele and setting prices and feeling comfortable to say, this is the price and I'm sticking with the type thing. And it still gets a little hectic now and again, but you know, the more experience you get, the more comfortable you feel with this. So again, self-education is number 1, experience is number 2, and the most important thing, number 3, pray. Because we all need prayer over here. Pray it's gonna work out, and just don't give up. Don't give up. And again, I feel like some of these videos now have been so long. I did a recent video about my routines and just how they've helped me, my MBSS, mind, body, soul, and spirit schedule routine. And then I showed you guys like everything that I do on an ideal day if I'm following that schedule. And honest to God, like it helps me so much. I don't like doing the hours and hours and hours of commissions, but the faster I get it done, the faster I start it, the faster I end it. Because sometimes just my eyes in general, they get sore after a while. Like I don't think people realize graphic designers, they're looking at screens literally almost constantly, and it's not healthy. Like it's not good for our eyes. And I have light sensitivity as well, so it actually hurts probably a little bit more than a normal person would probably be affected by it. So it's not always the greatest. So sometimes I'm struggling through it, but like I said before, creating your routine, creating a schedule, creating time to educate myself, to learn about certain things that I'm passionate about and that I love and that I just want to learn about, that's helping me become a better version of me, a better and happier, the best version of me ever. So not just the better, but the best version that I can possibly be for myself and for other people. So as I was raving about that throughout the whole entire video, that was probably like a 20-something, almost 30-minute video, and this video is probably going to be the same, possibly even longer, because if you did not listen to every single part of this video, go back and re-listen to it again, because somebody out here needs to hear this. They need to hear it completely. What time is it? It's 1:44. I told y'all in my last video, I said the sun normally shines the brightest at this time. And was I lying? No, I was not. That was pretty much it for this video. I really hope that someone who is listening to this really got the inspiration and motivation that they needed some way, somehow, in this video. Again, I'm gonna reiterate this disclaimer again and again. I'm not crapping on anybody who goes to college, because I went to college. Like, I didn't just not go. I went to college too. I've got sisters who are in college. I've got family who went to college and that's in college and whatnot. Friends who are in college. College is amazing for some people, but maybe not as amazing for others. And there are other options out there, and that's what the basis of this video is about. Just knowing your options, knowing that there are possibilities and that you don't have limits when it comes to a career. You can do so many things, and when life is so short, why would you just stick to one thing anyways? If that's what you want, fine, I'm not talking on you for it. But as a creative like me, there's no way if someone said pick one art career, like I don't know what I would do. I'd be heartbroken. Like, painting, drawing, pottery, fashion designing, graphic designing, photography, videography, music creation. Like, there's so many things. I'm just like, you're telling me to pick one? Impossible. Impossible. But yeah, so do your research, do a lot of research, educate yourself, get the experience, and pray. Pray some more. That's it for this video. Peace, love, and joy. Don't forget to self-care, and we are out. Lihit rayot. Oh, and by the way, that means goodbye.